Well, welcome, Sarah. We are so ecstatic here at Healing Pathways to have you aboard as one of our volunteer therapists that will
Mm.
be joining us on May 24th. So, again, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. So excited to be joining you and excited for the upcoming walk.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I want those that have signed up and those that are just wanting to know more about, what your practice is about, how you started, and then also we'll kind of just dive in with some more questions regarding anxiety too, which is the theme of this walk. So just
Yeah.
tell me a little bit more about you and your practice and your area of expertise.
Right. Well, thank you. So I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor in St. Charles, Illinois, and I've had my own practice since 2022. So it's still a new practice, and I specialize with relationships and anxiety mostly. That's like my two main focus areas. So very familiar with anxiety and how that shows up with couples, with individuals. It's definitely a passion area of mine to help folks navigate that. I've very intentionally named my practice Soothing Connections.
I love it.
Yeah, so it's very intentional about soothing connections counseling. I really do believe we do our best soothing in connection, and
Mm,
that we need soothing connections to be able to work through the difficult things of life, including relationships and anxiety. And so that's been a way that I've kind of pulled that into my therapy sessions as I go, and it's kind of the core of how I practice as an EFT therapist, emotionally focused therapy. Yeah.
I want to talk about that too, the
Yeah.
EFT, the emotionally
EFT.
focused EFT, because that's something that's very unique. You don't see a lot of therapists that actually
Yeah.
focus on that. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I do emotionally focused couples therapy, so EFCT, and then they do have emotionally focused individual therapy, and so I pull from EFIT and a lot of attachment focus in individual sessions, and then EFCT, the emotional focused therapy for couples. Um, it's a wonderful model. It's developed by Sue Johnson, who has more recently passed, but it's just a powerhouse of a woman who has just given a lot to the field. And the idea is to get to the root issues going on. And so, an example I give to clients is, kind of like in the yard, 'tis the season. Like instead of mowing dandelions, and then each week we're mowing dandelions and mowing dandelions. My role is to help understand the roots. So if we can get the root, understand the root system and then remove the root of anxiety, then we're getting to more of the soothing and the healing versus more like just the coping skills or something that is still helpful. But it's kind of, I think of it as an order of operations. Like it's EFT is a bottom up. So we're going into
Mhm.
the emotions and addressing things at that layer, attachment fears, um, attachment wounds, and then building it back up from that. Whereas a lot of other types of models sometimes will go top down. So it's kind of like starting in your thoughts, starting in behaviors or symptoms. EFT is a little bit different in that is while those things are valuable, we're just starting at a different place. Um,
Wow. So
yeah.
do a lot of the clients, because I'm curious to know, do they give a little bit of, even though they're there, they go for therapy, do they
Yes.
give you pushback when you begin to hit those root systems?
Yeah, I think when most people come in, I think even the language of just kind of our common culture is give me skills, give me,
Mhm.
fix this. And so I'm very open and honest about my approach.
Mhm.
That it does look different. If they've done different types of therapy, my
Mhm.
approach might look a little bit different.
Absolutely.
I'm biased. I do this approach because I think it's really effective. It has a lot of research and empirical evidence behind it. It has lots of great outcome studies. But I do think what the majority of folks that come into my office when they say, I want to fix this, give me the skills, kind of what I think of it as like, I need help. I need help. What I've been doing hasn't been working. And so even though it might look a little different than what they're used to, there might be pushback of that, especially with my couples where they're like, just fix it. Like this is painful. And um, so I do think sometimes it can be really challenging because it's a very vulnerable process. I think therapy in general is vulnerable and brave, but I do think emotion focused therapy asks clients to go deeper. And yeah, I absolutely think that can be really uncomfortable. I'm forever working on my own work to slow down, to help clients stay and kind of like linger longer. Can we
Mhm.
stay there? Can we hang out in this really uncomfortable space? I'll be there with you. I'm not going to make you do anything alone or anything you don't want to do, but I think this could be beneficial. Could we linger longer? And I do experience my clients like building the safety and the security to be able to do that and build the skill to be able to do that longer.
It takes a skill as a therapist to be able to
Yeah.
navigate different personalities, different situations and
Yeah.
circumstances. So I always commend you all in what you do. You have a very important role just to be able to
Mm.
help people. Um,
Yeah.
so one of the things that I noticed, and the reason why our organization chose anxiety, because when you search on the internet of what is the most searched topic, it's
Mm-hmm.
how to overcome anxiety. Why do you think
Mm-hmm.
that is?
Yeah, I do think anxiety is something that's growing. I think there's a couple reasons for that. I think some of it beneficially is that we're talking about mental health more. And I think that's great. I think it's great that it's part of the conversation. For better, or for worse, there's all kinds of folks on TikTok and things like that that are, so sometimes, I love that we're getting more information out. I'm sometimes concerned about the quality of information, but I do think it's just becoming more part of a normalized conversation, that we can have this conversation and that people are attending, that people are even waitlisted, that there's more desire to address some of these issues. And then
Yes.
again, I think even how you named the event, like in what feels like a very chaotic world,
Yes.
um, I think there's lots of big um, social and cultural events that have gone on in
Yes.
recent years, and with pandemics and
Mhm.
challenges with division, and I just think that it has really enhanced people's feelings of anxiety. And the more we get, the more social media type stuff that we have, I think it's really can be a tool for connection. And then I also think that sometimes it brings a lot of isolation. And again, soothing connections. I don't think we do well in isolation.
We don't.
I think there's been more and more anxiety and people
Mhm.
really struggling.
Yeah. And that's one of our goals with the initiative that we have,
Mm.
just to make sure people come out of their house and just be part of a community.
Yeah.
Because when you're
Yeah.
part of a community, you're able to navigate life challenges so much better. And you
Yes.
see that you're
Yes.
not by yourself. I
Hmm.
think sometimes the trick of the enemy, which
Hmm.
is inner me, is that you're by yourself, you're going through this alone, and when you're able to come out and see, like, I'm not by myself, I'm able to
Yeah.
overcome this,
Yeah.
so it's a wonderful thing to be part of a community of
Mhm.
people that care. Sarah, so what would you say to a participant who has signed up and ready to go, but kind of are still kind of like, oh, what am I ex gonna expect? A little bit nervous. What would you
Mhm.
say to them?
Yeah, how human to feel nervous, to feel worried or scared about meeting new people or doing something new for the first time, and like just how human. I have so much compassion for folks that get nervous coming to things, and I think it says a lot. It says a lot if you're able to help, get yourself there, get to the community. I would encourage you, I would invite you to try to get there, to just bring that nervousness, that fear with you And we do best, I truly believe we do best in connection. And what a great opportunity to really live that out and experience that. That's where we experience the most change. Um, is when we don't just talk about it, but we live it, we experience it. So I would invite you to bring that nervousness, that fear. And I know for me personally, when I lead walks, that's one of the first things I like to do is just get people grounded, help folks kind of settle in. I know it helps me, and I'm a bit of an extrovert, so I'm like, oh wow, people, there's all these people, and it's exciting. But even just to kind of like, okay, let's take a breath, let's ground, and nature is such a beautiful place for that. So, by all means, I would encourage them to still show up and bring as much nervousness as they need, to share about it, to allow some space to ground in that. And yeah, I think that's one of the bravest things that we do with anxiety is allow it to be present, and then be open and curious to see what might shift or change. Or even if it doesn't, even if that anxiety continues through the walk, um, we got to do that together. And as we build repetition, as we're able to do that, it becomes easier the next time.
Yes. Wonderful. Well, we are ecstatic, Sarah, to
Mm.
have you as one of our therapists. How can people learn more about your practice, your
Yeah.
website address? You want to share that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am at Soothing Connections Counseling in St. Charles, Illinois. It's right off Main Streets and things like that. If you're familiar with St. Charles, off of Randall and Dean, so it's really kind of at the heart of St. Charles in a lot of ways. So Soothing Connections Counseling in St. Charles, Illinois, it can be found at soothingconnections.com. The right on the home page, and probably most every page is connect, and you can fill out the contact form. And then I have my email address on there as well. That email is always the best way to get a hold of me.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. The goal of this live was just to get to know you more,
Mhm.
um, as far as your practice and your areas of expertise,
Mhm.
and what people will expect on the trails on May 24th. So,
Yeah, I'm
again,
so
you're so
excited for it. Yeah.
I'm excited too. I'm excited too. We currently have a wait list. I have to update that.
Yeah.
Um, it was raining at first, but now it's just sunshine
Oh,
that
wonderful.
day.
It has a
Yeah,
way of working itself out, you know?
it does.
I'm like, I'll walk rain or shine, but I know, participants tend to like, it's easier to
Sun.
go, right, if it's a nice, beautiful day. And yeah, and I prefer that as well. I'm pulling for sunshine. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. And we thank you all for joining us today. And we will see you on the trails. Thanks again, Sarah, for joining us
You're
today.
so